But like,
I love that you mentioned that Kenyans have a huge
yeah,
palette, and now it's really focusing on us,
yeah,
which is why we made this podcast because we want to
yeah.
champion
This is why I like this
Kenyan
podcast.
music.
Oh my God.
How does that inform how you go about curating the lineups for Blankets and
Yeah.
Wine, and how has that changed since like the earlier
Yeah.
iterations?
Yeah. Um, well, at the begin, well, so Blankets was a home of misfits.
Mhm.
And pretty much myself, Sauti Soul, Just a Band, Eric Wainaina, Susanna Wio,
Mhm.
Abby Nyinza. Anybody who was not making straight kapuka didn't really have space, didn't really have a platform.
Yeah.
To be fair, even the people who are making kapuka had very limited platforms, right? Um, um, that's a whole other topic. But like the point is, there wasn't enough platforms anyway.
Okay.
But definitely wasn't platforms for folks who are trying things that were not considered to be urban pop music at the time.
Okay.
Things that could be considered more alternative and
Yeah, and I mean they're not really
maybe
alternative,
niche,
right?
but they're not
Because
really.
they're actually not alternative at all.
Mhm.
The lens, it's just that the person who's entered into the conversation has come with a lens of this is Kapuka. Kapuka is Kenyan urban music. Therefore, everything relative to Kapuka is alternative.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Right?
Mhm.
But in reality, is it alternative? It's just like multiple things. Is a daisy an alternative? Is a daisy an alternative flower to a rose? It's just different. If you hold the perspective that rose flowers are the only flowers, therefore everything else that is not a rose flower is an alternative.
Yes.
You see how obnoxious and foolish that sounds.
And alternative usually will carry the connotation that it's not as important or not as good.
Yeah, or it's kind of niche. It's for just a few people. It's not everybody who can really understand a tuber rose. Only roses. Roses is the truth. These
Yeah.
other ones, they're not such. You see how stupid and obnoxious that sounds?
Yeah.
This was the fundamental premise of the music industry I walked into when I wanted to make music. And my references were like Lauryn Hill and the Fugees and Missy Elliott and Timbaland and Necessary Noise and Giddy Giddy Maji Maji, right? And I was like, yo, that's dope. That's fly. I love pop, push pop further. And then I walked straight into a wall where people are like, yeah, but you guys, you have kind of like a Lenubia thing going on. This like neo soul thing that's kind of like in the music. I don't know. You guys just sing Manyake and it's going to be all right. And I'm like, why? Like, shout out Manyake, but like,
That's a funny phrase.
I just think that there should be a lot of music.
Shout out Maniac.
Yeah, shout out Manyake, bro.
funny
There was a
phrase.
whole
Nah, for
moment
real,
in the
shout
culture. But like, you know, and there was like kind of like
Old sizes.
yeah, and there was also like there was a message in the thing, you know, something Jualandi on Itaja. It was kind of like about safe sex.
It was
It was educative.
Yeah,
honestly.
no one cares about nothing. Yeah,
Right?
Everyone is doing whatever now.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But it just felt to me that you should have many, many, many different kind of things.
Yeah.
Like you love ugali, but like today you eat ugali with fish, tomorrow you eat ugali with nyama, the next day you eat ugali mala, another day you eat ugali mursik. Like variety is literally the spice of your own life, and I just thought it was so limited and so and untenable.
Yeah.
That I couldn't exist. So then I built the platform for all the people who'd been told they were misfits. So at the beginning, you know, kind of was just like, just get the misfits. But I was also really aware from the beginning that ultimately what you're curating is a buffet.
Yeah.
A really, really good buffet. Like a dope buffet. So all these things should be able to sit side by side on the buffet table, and you should find some faves, and there should be other things where you're like, eh, and there should be other things where I'd like to try, and that should be, and that's what makes a festival
So
experience.
that's how you curate the entire thing.
Yeah,
for people.
interesting, right?
Mhm.
So that there's things to discover, things to know,
Yeah.
things to consider, things to ignore.
Gotcha.
And that's really never changed. The only thing that has changed is that there's now a curatorial committee.
Yeah.
So there's more voices on the table. There's much more research. There's a lot of data that's used to corroborate some of the ideas. There is inclusion of non-Kenyans. There's a question of When you include them, how do you include them? Where do you place them?
Is everything database now? Or do you also just go by vibes? You're like, I
Yeah,
love this
yeah,
artist, and
both,
so I want this
both,
artist
both, both,
on
both,
my lineup.
both. There's things where it's like, bro, on this thing, my vibe coding. Na siulizi advice yenu.
This is who I want.
Yeah, it
like,
is what it is.
Yeah.
But then
Cool, I get that.
overall, that thing has to sit within the whole buffet.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why, for example, I don't perform at all of them. Because I'm not always the right thing added to the rest of the ingredients on the buffet. So it's always a question of, it's like putting together a fit. This plus this plus this plus this. There's also the economics. Ultimately, a concert, a festival, a live music experience is about bums on seats. So how do you drive bums on seats? How do you distribute the weight of how you deliver bums on seats? Who are the real deliverers of bums on seats vis-a-vis who are the people who get to benefit from the drivers? So these are the conversations kind of around who are headliners, who are rising stars, who are legends, who are startups.
I mean, this might be...
It's very intuitive, and you know it. You all know it. You all know it. Which is why, sometimes we'll put a program and guys have thoughts.
But
this person should have performed at this time, and we're like, yeah, there's an intuition.